I'm Femi and I'm here with...
Hi, Femi.
And yourself?
I'm Michelle Brown.
Michelle Brown. And you're an independent...
I'm independent Assembly member for North Wales.
And this Brexit process, what do you think should happen next?
I think we need to get on and finish Brexit and do what the people wanted us to do and leave.
So does that mean with a withdrawal agreement, with a deal, with a no deal? How?
Well, if the EU was sensible and reasonable and acted like a commercial entity and with a commercial head on it, then we wouldn't be at this impasse. But unfortunately, the EU are being intransigent, and they're going to be forcing it. They're going to force the situation whichever way they want to go.
So
it's up to them, essentially.
So a no-deal Brexit is the responsibility of the EU. It's the EU's fault that a no-deal Brexit is happening.
It is. They've pushed us into this. If they back somebody into a corner, and a no-deal results from that, then it is down to the EU.
Well, I mean, who voted for Brexit? Was it the EU?
17.4 million people.
But not the EU, though.
No.
So Brexit isn't the EU's fault.
Well, if the EU want to continue, if they want a good relationship with the UK, if they want a good trading relationship with the UK, then it's beholden on them to compromise and negotiate in good faith. And I really don't think they've done that.
Okay, but they've heard from Ireland that they require a deal in order to protect the Good Friday Agreement. So can we really blame the EU for wanting to protect peace in Northern Ireland?
Why are we talking about blame? This is a democratic choice that the people of the UK have made.
But you just said that it was the EU's fault that a no-deal Brexit.
The people of the UK have decided to leave the EU. I don't care whether the MPs down in Westminster like it or not. The people of the UK have given the Westminster politicians their instructions, and the Westminster politicians need to get on and do as they're told.
Do you think people in 2017 wanted to leave without a deal?
I think
every single Brexit voter.
I can't speak for every Brexit voter. I can only speak for myself and the people I speak to. And they are quite happy with no deal, and they voted for no deal.
But we're talking about
They voted for Brexit with the possibility of no deal.
Mm-hmm. But do you think all 17 million people would have been okay with no deal in 2017?
Well,
16, sorry.
Can you say that all of the Remainers voted for the same thing?
Well, they voted for the treaties.
How can you say? You can't tell me why all of those Remainers voted Remain.
I can't tell you why, but what I can tell you is that they all voted for the two treaties of the European Union, and those are fixed in place. Whereas what Brexit voters voted for wasn't fixed in place. In fact, it didn't have a treaty, doesn't have a treaty.
Hang on. I think you misunderstand the EU here, because there's nothing fixed about the EU. There is nothing fixed about those treaties. The EU is going to continue to evolve and going to continue along the same path as it has been so far. And
what would it require to change those treaties?
Remainers weren't voting for the status quo. Remainers were voting to stay in an EU that was continually evolving and was continually power grabbing. You
said the treaties are changing. What would it require to change those treaties?
Well, that's up to them.
No.
At the end of the day.
No. You said the treaties are changing. What would it require to change those treaties?
Well, I don't care. We voted out. We're leaving.
No, you said the treaties.
Get on with it.
In order to change those treaties, it required consent from the British government, and for that to be a significant change that would require further federalisation, according to the European Union Act 2011, it would require a national referendum in the UK.
The treaties are irrelevant now. The EU treaties to us are irrelevant. We have decided to leave. We are leaving, and if we don't leave, there will be a massive democratic problem in this country, because democracy will have been completely destroyed in this country if we don't leave.
Okay, so because the majority of 52% voted for Brexit, if we don't do that, then the democracy is broken.
Democracy is broken because the decision was outsourced to the people of the UK. The people of the UK have made the decision, given their instructions to their MPs. The MPs need to get on and get the job done.
And the MPs need to follow the instructions of the people?
Yes.
Okay, what would you say to the fact that in 2017, 54% voted for parties whose manifestos explicitly ruled out no deal?
Well,
so that mean that there's
yeah,
a majority of 54% against
They
no
also
deal.
voted for parties that promised that we would be coming out of the single market, the customs union, and leaving the sovereignty of the ECJ.
Labour's manifesto said we accept the result, but we will reject no deal. So they explicitly rejected a no deal Brexit and said that the benefits of the single market and the customs union are essential to jobs, and Labour will always put jobs first, which means that they would reject any Brexit that can keep those benefits. So the majority has voted against no deal in 2017.
The majority voted for parties that said that they were going to implement Brexit,
Not
and that we were
technically
coming out of the customs union, and that we were coming out of the single market. And now they're trying to backtrack on that and change their minds.
In the manifesto, it says we will reject no deal as a viable option. That was the manifesto of Labour, and 54% voted for parties whose manifestos explicitly ruled out no deal.
Yeah, but
making the no deal directly against the wishes of the British people.
They also stood on manifestos that said that we were coming out of the single market and the customs union.
Labour's manifesto said the benefits of the single market and customs union are essential to jobs, and Labour will always put jobs first. That means that they will reject any Brexit that doesn't keep the benefits of the single market.
Well, maybe that's what you read into it, but maybe that's not what the Labour voters read into it.
Read into it, because that's what it says in the manifesto.
And the big problem that Labour have right now is that nobody quite knows what Labour's policy is.
Irrelevant, the manifesto that people vote, the 50%
and right the way through the last three. Bye, Labour.
The manifesto,
the last 3 years, Labour have been vacillating and trying to play both sides. Not made a decision about what their policy was, so you can't really.
But ultimately, the manifesto says we will reject no deal. So if you vote for that, you vote for Parliament not to leave it out without a deal. And 54% voted for parties who ruled out no deal, making that your policy of no deal is against the wishes of the British people.
I remember the Remain campaign. Okay, I have a copy of the document that was sent, thanks to the courtesy of paid for by the British taxpayer, by David Cameron's government. Every part of that Remain argument rested on the assumption that we would leave the customs union, the single market, in effect, that we would leave with no deal. That is what people voted for. We voted against the Remainer argument. We voted for Brexit. Get on and do it.
Okay.
I'm sick of talk. I'm sick of hearing people moan about it.
So according to the logic of what you just said, the plans that Brexit voters had for Brexit were based on the arguments of the Remain campaign, not the Leave campaign.
The Remain campaign scaremongering centred around leaving the single market and the customs union. The people of the UK said fair enough. We want to leave.
So you're saying that Brexit voters ignored the arguments that the EU need us more than we need them, we'll get any deal we want, just said by pretty much every single Brexit campaign.
The Brexit voters. No doubt.
They listened to the Remain campaign more than the Leave campaign?
Why don't you go round every single Brexit voter, ask them why they voted Leave, and then get back to me?
I've been speaking to Brexit voters for the past 2 years, and most of them wanted more control, a better country, and did not want and said the EU need us more than we need them. Therefore, we'll get any deal they want. So they were not arguing for a no deal Brexit at all.
They can't replace our market elsewhere. Just because Theresa May and her government screwed up the negotiation doesn't mean that everything is invalidated. That is her problem.
Actually,
the people of the UK made a decision. At the end of the day, they made a decision. This argument has been had.
Okay.
The argument about the single market, the customs union, the economy, everything. That was had during the referendum. And Remainers have had 40-odd years to persuade the people of the UK to remain in the EU, and that being a member of the EU was the right thing to do. They failed. We voted to leave. Accept it. Get with the programme.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good day. All right. Thank you. Cheers. Nice meeting you. Thank you very much. Cheers. Have a good day.
Hey, you take care.
Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.